Hi everyone, and welcome to Case Field for this afternoon's Division III college football matchup with the Spartans of Case Western Reserve University and the Bears of Washington University out of St. Louis. It's a University Athletic Association conference matchup. My name is Ron Yantz, and this is Ed Doherty. And Ed, the storyline today, as it has been all season long, is the senior class at Case. It's senior day here today at Case Field, and their pursuit of perfection for yet a third year in a row.
It'd be 3 consecutive years of undefeated regular seasons. They're looking for their 3rd consecutive University Athletic Association championship, also looking for their 3rd consecutive playoff bid in Division III in college football.
And when you talk about this senior class, the conversation starts and finishes with their senior quarterback out of Willoughby South High School. It's Dan Whalen.
And Dan Whalen on the season, 31 touchdown passes so far in 9 football games, almost 3,000 yards passing for his career, is looking to get near the 10,000 career passing yard mark. He's about 800 yards short of that right now, so well within his grasp to go over 10,000 yards for his career at the Division III level.
Case comes in 9-0. Washington University is here with 4 wins and 5 losses overall. Their talented tailback is Jim O'Brien, just a little bit shy of 1,000 yards. We'll watch for him today.
O'Brien is their workhorse. He's the ground game. He's the one that really eats up the yardage for Washington University. They're kind of balanced offensively, although they go with an athlete at quarterback rather than a true pocket passer. So O'Brien is going to be asked to do more in this game and really control the Washington University offense and maybe keep that Case offense off the field.
So it's Case against Washington University. Case trying to go to 10-0 and run their regular season win streak to 31. It is an absolutely beautiful fall November afternoon in Cleveland, Ohio, as we are set to kick off here at Case Field. Washington University, the Bears from St. Louis, will kick off to the Spartans of Case as Case tries to wrap up yet another perfect season and finish 10-0 and then head to the Division III national playoffs a week from today. Kicking off for Washington University this afternoon will be their place kicker, Austin Mormon. Bobby Bott is set to return for Case along with Brian Metalsitz, and Brian will return it at the 10-yard line. Metalsitz gets it past the 22, and that's where this prolific Case offense, Ed, will start their first offensive possession of the afternoon.
Well, it starts with Dan Whalen, and his 31 touchdown passes on the season has just over 2,800 yards passing and has 4 threats on the outside in Zach Homick, Tim Cowdrick, Ryan Colasar, and Shaun Nicely. 3 of those 4 receivers have 7 or more touchdowns. Homick leads the team. He has 10 touchdown receptions on the season.
Dan Whalen will start this afternoon in the shotgun for Case, the senior out of Willoughby South High School. And Whalen will open it up with a pass, and it's complete to Nicely near that Case bench. And Nicely's run out of bounds at the 34-yard line. It'll be a first down for Case.
That's a perfect design play for Dan Whalen. Just shows how comfortable he is in the pocket as well as outside the pocket. The ability to come to the near sideline against his body and throw a great strike to Nicely and pick up 15 yards and a first down.
Nicely a former teammate of Whalen's at Willoughby South High School, a year behind Dan for the Rebels of Willoughby South.
Looks like they've gone to a 2 tight end set, Ron.
Opening drive for Case. They're at their own 35. The handoff will go to Greg Meyer. And Meyer gets positive yardage up near the 40-yard line. As Case comes into this 10th game of their regular season, offensively, they have been balanced as they can be attempt-wise. As they run the ball 318 times, they've passed it 307 times, but production-wise, the passing game has been exactly what they expected in Whalen's senior season.
Yeah, Whalen 3rd in passer efficiency in the country and 7th in total passing yards. He averages a little over 312 yards per game throwing the football.
Michael Allen will snap it to Dan Whalen. Whalen will roll, and he'll throw near midfield. And it's a completion right at the midfield stripe for Case.
That's Tim Cowdrick with the catch, and not surprising, Cowdrick takes a big hit. Still manages to get up after it. Cowdrick has long been that player.
Well, here you get a look at Whalen. He can roll and he can throw, and he really shows off the strength of his arm there. And Ed, you mentioned that Cowdrick can take a hit. When he was a senior at Mentor High School, he fell off a roof and missed most of his senior year after he broke his back. And then he's also had injury troubles here at Case, but he is here for senior day. He leads this team with 8 touchdowns this year, and no one would expect anything less from Tim Cowdrick.
Now, Cowdrick is going to be on the field regardless. He likes to get out there and compete.
Case again. This time they'll run it, and they'll cross the 50 and get inside Washington University territory. Greg Meyer with the handoff from Whalen.
Meyer's the feature back for Case Western, yet they go with a 4-back set. 4 different players can carry the mail for Case, including Billy DEITMEN, Corey Checkan, another senior, and Derek Bush, a 3rd senior for the Spartans. And Bush is in the backfield now.
Bush is on the right hip of Dan Whalen. Bush is standing at the 47-yard line of Case. It'll be Whalen to throw again. They set up the screen. Bush gets it. And Bush has got positive yardage all the way down to the Washington University 32-yard line. Nice second effort that time by Derek Bush, the fullback out of the backfield for Case.
And that play was set up by the offensive lineman. They did a nice job of, one, chopping down the Washington University pass rush, then getting out ahead of Bush and leading the way to pick up the yardage.
So Case on their opening drive is doing what they've done all season long, and that is move the football in the first quarter. This season, in the first quarter alone, Case has outscored their opponents 155 to 26, and they're looking to add to that total here. Whalen with a quick little dump pass to DJ Sutka, the tight end.
Sutka's filled that role great this year. He's become that release valve. Sutka has the ability to block and is a very good player in the run game, but likes to get released from the line of scrimmage and is there for Whalen in case things break down.
Ed, we got a nice shot of the crowd here at Case Field. It's, as we've said, it's a day in mid-60s here in Cleveland. A beautiful fall November afternoon. We could have anything. We could have snow today, but it's great. Case with the handoff. They're going to run it to the near side of the field. Billy DEITMEN will carry the football for Case.
Handled by VOMBRACK.
Case needed 5. DEITMEN picked up about 7, and they'll move the chains again.
Andrew Zajac and Matt Yanasco, the offensive lineman, the right guard and right tackle, led the way on that play. Nice 2 blocks to seal the corner, let DEITMEN pick up the 7 yards in the first down.
There's a shot of head coach Greg Debelak on the sideline. Deb's in his 6th season at Case. He's 43-19 as the head football coach at Case. So Spartans with the football now inside the 20. DEITMEN will run it. He breaks a tackle at the 10, gets down inside the 10, and tackled at the 7-yard line. So Billy DEITMEN with a nice strong run for the Spartans. DEITMEN, the junior out of Menor. There is a definite Northeastern Ohio connection to this football team, and Ed, it starts with the coaching staff.
And Greg Debelak himself, a Menor High School graduate, also played at John Carroll.
So Case with their first crack at the end zone here in the first quarter. Whalen is under center. Michael Allen, the sophomore out of McMurray, Pennsylvania, will snap it now to Whalen in the shotgun. Handoff, crosses the 5 and walks into the end zone for a touchdown. It's Greg Meyer with the first Case score of the afternoon.
Has been playing the entire season. You see here Meyer take the handoff to the right, wait for his lineman to get their clear out and get into the end zone. And that touchdown marks the 9th time in 10 games now the Case has scored on their opening drive. They have 7 touchdowns, 2 field goals to go in the 9 scoring drives in 10 opening possessions of football games. Case has enjoyed playing from ahead, and that's been a signature of this team all year.
Sam Coffey will line up for the point after touchdown, the junior from Middletown, Ohio. It is up and it is good. And Sam Coffey and the Case Spartans take the opening drive and they score an opening touchdown. It's 7-0 Spartans. Just under 2 minutes, or actually just under 11 minutes left to play in this opening quarter.
What you have to like about that drive, Ron, is the balance that Case has shown. They went to the run, they ran to the right, they ran to the left, had a couple of passes mixed in there, 1 to the right, 2 to the left. So very deliberate and well-designed opening drive for the Case Spartans.
Case looking to go to 10-0 in the regular season. And if they finish 10-0, if they win today, they will probably put themselves in a pretty good position to host a first-round Division III national playoff game a week from today here at Case Field. And actually, tomorrow at 3 o'clock on ESPN News, they will announce the brackets for the Division III National Championship Tournament.
Well, you figure Case right now is ranked 7th by the coaches poll, and they are 9th in the Division III Football.com poll. So a win today definitely will get them a home game.
Coffey will kick it. Chris Castellucci is set to receive for Washington University. He'll receive it at his 7. And the Bears are ready and set to open their first offensive possession. Castellucci, there he is, number 23, gets it up just past the 30-yard line. Coming out and setting that Washington University offense, Stephen Sherman will start at quarterback, a junior from Pasadena, California. He has 1,054 yards passing this year. He's thrown 7 touchdowns. He's also thrown 7 interceptions. Their workhorse in the backfield is number 1, Jim O'Brien. O'Brien is behind Sherman now. Sherman's in the shotgun, and O'Brien stands behind him, and that's where the handoff will go. He'll fake it to O'Brien, then he'll roll right. And Washington University with a quick pass out in the near flat near that Case bench for positive yards.
A completion to Greg Lachard. And Ron, you notice there, they're not in a true shotgun, more of what they call the pistol formation. He's about 3 yards behind center with O'Brien lined up behind Sherman. And Lachard just snuck out of the backfield off the wing and was wide open in the flat for the 4-yard pickup.
Sherman, the quarterback, 6'1", 210 pounds, a junior. The handoff with a nice hole up the middle this time. And Washington University needed 6. They're going to pick up about 4. They'll have a 3rd and short situation. It was a beautiful setting here to start the game just before kickoff. The entire Case team lined the sideline on the home side of this Case field, and they formed a huge tunnel. The 15 seniors that are honored here today on Senior Day stood at one end, and they announced each senior's name, ran through the tunnel shaking hands with his teammates, met the parents at the end of the tunnel, then walked out onto the field. And you can kind of see the circles in our shot right now. There are 15 circles near midfield to honor the numbers of each of the 15 seniors playing in their final regular season home game here today. It is 3rd and 3 for Washington University. They'll pass it on 3rd and 3, and the ball is almost picked off. Derek Sharp stepped up from his cornerback spot and made a nice defensive play.
Now, WashU took the chance. They went one-on-one on the outside against Sharp out there. They moved everybody to the right side of the formation, and the pass was underthrown, and Sharp played the ball, knocked it away, and is forced to kick.
So nicely will set up deep for Case to receive the punt from Austin Mormon. Mormon, the punter for the Bears of Washington University, averaging 40 yards a punt this season. That Case defense, Ed, that allows only 16 points per game this year, did a nice job on that opening set. That punt's going to fall short of the 30. It'll have some backspin on it and go all the way to the 36, and that's where Case will start their next offensive possession. It was an impressive start for Case, that's for sure. Dan Whalen and the Case offense marched all the way down the field and finished with a 7-yard touchdown run from Greg Meyer. It's 7-0 Case early on here, as you can see a nice shot of the dormitories that are set up outlining this field here on the campus of Case Western Reserve University.
Yeah, the Village at 115, Ron, is a newer, about 5 years old now, and it houses the upperclassmen in a suite-type setting.
That's Coach Greg Debelak, the head football coach at Case, and this is the 5th season of this Case field. The senior class, obviously, it's their 4th season, and they're going for their 3rd consecutive undefeated season. And I think that the synergy, Ed, in this place with this class and this new field and just the beauty of it all and the talent level of that senior class has really turned this Case football program around.
Well, you couldn't ask for anything more. Everything came together at one point and created that perfect setting for a young, energetic coach, along with good talent that was local, that stayed home and was committed to the program, the new facilities, and the commitment from the university itself to improve the athletic department. All has really enhanced the overall experience for the students here at Case Western.
Whalen in the shotgun. It's a 2nd and 9 for Case. Whalen will step and he'll throw. He's got nicely near that Washington University bench, and nicely is going to get to about the 38. It's going to be a short pickup for Case, and they'll face a 3rd and long.
Oh, Whalen 5 for 5 to start the football game, Ron. Just another ho-hum gay for Dan Whalen.
Well, on the year, and there's a nice shot of Dan Whalen, the 6'1", 190-pound senior out of Willoughby South. On the year, Ed, he's completing nearly 70% of his passes, 69%, 286 attempts, 198 completions. He'll probably go over 3,000 yards for the season today. He's got 2,810 coming in. You mentioned in the open that he's got a chance at 10,000 as he completes that on a 3rd and long, and Case gets the ball near midfield on a pass to Tim Cowdrick. Whalen's got a shot at 10,000.
Yeah, he's
about a little more than 800 short.
Right, so today's game, you know, Whalen, this kind of passing over the middle to Tim Cowdrick and his receivers finding seams and throwing the lasers that he is, that Whalen definitely has a chance to go over. He needs probably 2, most likely 3 football games to get to that 10,000-yard mark, but that's a huge number. It doesn't matter what level you're playing at.
1st and 10 for Case. They're now at midfield. Whalen looks deep, now throws it short, and we've got a penalty flag that has been thrown on the far side of the field as the pass falls incomplete. Colasar, the wideout for Case, was working that side of the field. We'll wait to see if it's a no, they're going to wave it off. They're going to pick up the flag and wave it off. Colasar probably stepped out of bounds. They'll throw the flag to mark the fact that that receiver is now ineligible, and that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, the referee on the far side did throw his hat. I think he went to throw his beanbag and reached in the wrong pocket and pulled out the flag.
So it's a 2nd down and long situation for Case, 2nd and 10 at midfield. Whalen will look to the sideline, look to Coach Debelak, and look to his backup quarterback, Joey Baum. They'll reset the offensive play. Greg Meyer, the tailback, gets it, crosses midfield to pick up 3.
Well, Case again there showing a 2 tight end set. DJ Sutka, the starter, the senior in, but also sophomore Bryce Coleman was on the left side of the formation. Did a nice job of sealing the corner along with Tim Cowdrick.
Meyer, one of those seniors out of Clearwater, Florida. He played high school football at Countryside High School. There's the Spartan, dressed for a summer afternoon.
This might be nicer weather than we had in week 1.
Well, you were telling me in 1996 on this day we had 69 inches of snow in Chardon.
Chardon had 69 inches of snow.
Whalen, deep down the left sideline, ball's picked. Washington University picks off Whalen, something that doesn't happen often. It's happened only 5 times this season. And the Bears return it down to the Case 24-yard line.
Well, Whalen tried to check down, and he was just late in his read, and Nick VOMBRACK came up with the interception for the Bears. Whalen went to the near sideline, and the progression of his reads was slow, and it gave VOMBRACK a chance to jump the route and intercept the pass.
VOMBRACK, the senior out of River Forest, Illinois, that's his 4th interception on the season. That's tied for the team lead. So the Bears will have it inside the Case 30 at the 25-yard line. Sherman at quarterback. Washington University will run it right up the middle for short yardage. Offensively, WashU comes into this football game averaging 21 points per game. They get just about under 300 yards in total offense per game at 282, and they're very balanced, Ed. 139 yards rushing, 143 yards passing.
Well, offensively, though, Ron, they average just 281 yards per game. That ranks as 193rd in Division III out of 235 teams. So WashU not exactly the powerhouse they have been in the past. This year, though, they've played 3 top 15 teams.
2nd and 8. Here comes Case on a blitz. Line does a nice job of picking it up, and it's hard-fought yards all the way down to the 20-yard line by Matt Glenn.
And we talked about Jim O'Brien in the open, and even in Washington University's first possession, and O'Brien has yet to touch the football here in the first half. WashU doing a nice job of disguising their play call and using O'Brien maybe as a decoy and getting others as Greg Lachard and Matt Glenn involved in the football game.
O'Brien checks in along with the wideout in your picture there, number 2, Tim Goyos. It's a shot of the junior quarterback out of Pasadena, California. A little further south today, the Buckeyes of Ohio State will be playing for a trip to Pasadena, California. Screen pass to O'Brien, and Case has really smelled it out.
That's Bobby Bott coming up on pursuit. Bott did a nice job coming up from his corner position, recognized the swing pass, and really disrupted this play from the start. He was there as soon as O'Brien caught the football and Bott made the initial contact, slowed him down, and the rest of the Case defense pursued over for the stop.
Bobby Bott, one of those seniors honored this afternoon, the pride of Midview High School.
Another local product. Greg Debelak doing a nice job, not just recruiting in the east side over in Lake County, but also going to the far west side.
Tim Johnson will set up for a 41-yard field goal. It's a low-line drive that misses left. So Case survives a scare after an interception thrown by Dan Whalen. The defense holds.
That's Johnson's first miss on the season. He was 3 of 3 coming into the football game since taking over the kicking duties 3 weeks ago.
His long was 36, though, and that was a 41-yarder, a challenge for him, and he missed it. So Case comes back out. They'll reset their offense, and Whalen will lead the way. Ed, why don't we take this opportunity to mention that offensive line for Case. They've got a lot of strong men up front, a lot of great blockers. We talk an awful lot about Whalen and the wide receivers and the success statistically that they have, but offensively it doesn't happen unless those linemen are blocking.
Yeah, that front five does a very nice job protecting Dan Whalen. In fact, for the season, they've given up just 13 sacks. As Meyer there, Ron, not able to turn the corner. It looked like he may have stumbled over his own feet trying to turn the corner. But from left to right up front, Marcus Kluzinski's the left tackle, Tony Opperman, the left guard. Mike Allen has played the entire season with his left hand wrapped after breaking a bone early in training camp. Matt Yanosko and Andrew Zajac are on the right side. That offensive line averages 6'2", 252 pounds.
Whalen also has 3 wideouts on the right on the 2nd and 12. Whalen looks left, steps up in the pocket, lots of pressure, and the athleticism is on display now for Dan Whalen. He tucks it and runs out of bounds at the 28-yard line.
Even the plays that break down for Dan Whalen, he manages with some style to get positive yardage.
Dan Whalen, an English and psychology major. Coach Debs was telling me that one of the things that's really helped him recruiting-wise over the past several years is that Case is now starting to look at students who are in the liberal arts as well. Whalen's a journalism guy. Cowdrick, I believe, also is a journalism major. And, you know, traditionally that hasn't been the case at Case.
Right, at Case Western, or Case Tech had always been the school for the sciences.
Whalen with all sorts of trouble, spins out of it, thought he was tackled. He's still on the go. Dan Whalen looking deep, throwing deep, and in and out of the hands of Ryan Colasar and intercepted by Washington University.
Unbelievable play by Dan Whalen to keep it alive and just overshot Colasar. And if Colasar, I don't think if he gets his hand on the ball, it'll fall incomplete. Instead, it's intercepted by WashU.
And Whalen coming off limping a little bit. Here's a look at this play. Probably took 15 seconds to develop because Dan Whalen was spun around, chased, grabbed, pulled, and somehow was able to get away from everything and throw that pass. So 2 interceptions by the senior quarterback. He came into the game with only 5. So it was certainly not a typical Dan Whalen start. As Washington University steps up, and keeping it for WashU is their quarterback Sherman. And he's tackled promptly at the 35-yard line. Ed, joining us in the broadcast booth is Pat Kilpatrick, a 1949 graduate of Flora Stone Mather College of Western Reserve University. She received her graduate degree from Western Reserve in 1951. Pat's history with the university as a faculty member and as an administrator covered 3 decades. And her involvement with the university on many levels spans 7 decades. Pat was the first female vice president at Case Western Reserve. And while working for the university, Pat held important positions in athletics as well. Pat, welcome to the broadcast.
Thanks.
Pat, as you look at the athletic changes that have happened over the years in 7 decades, I mean, you've got a lot of history to talk about. What are some of the many changes or most notable changes that you've seen in your time?
Well, there's no doubt that once we had an interest in improving athletics, and this football team now, undefeated for 3 years, is a miracle as far as I'm concerned. But the real difference is Title IX and the opportunities for women in intercollegiate athletics. Ask me another.
As Washington University on a 3rd and 7, and you could tell that Pat's probably not only a leader but maybe a former coach, as she directs me to ask her another question. Wash U's going to be short on that 3rd and 7. They'll face a 4th, and they'll punt it back to Case. Well, Pat, let's talk about Title IX. Let's talk about women's athletics, and let's talk about the past and the present and the future of women's athletics at Case.
Well, in the past, we didn't have any. We could only play each other in intramurals. And the present, of course, has given us a chance to field as many women's teams as men teams. And one of the things that we've done recently is to allocate funds for the women's softball field, Mather Park, where we think we will have something equal to Nobby's Park for the men. And since it's the only activity restricted to women, we thought, the Mather alums, that is, thought that was a good idea. But let me say something about the UAA, Wash U, and Case Western Reserve. Go ahead.
Go right ahead.
Case Western Reserve helped to found the UAA because we wanted to be in an athletic conference with like schools. And here you have 2 of the best playing today. There are only 4 who play football, and so far we have beaten them all.
For 3 consecutive seasons.
Yeah, right.
Pat, you mentioned that softball field. Where will that be in relation to this athletic complex?
It's on the corner of Mistletoe and beyond the dormitories. It's on the corner behind or across the street from the Institute of Music. It's really at Mistletoe and Wade Park.
You know, you over the years have been a key member of the Mather Alumni Association, as that Washington University defense continues to give Case problems, Pat. Why did the association, the Mather Alumni Association, decide to make a gift to name the softball field Mather Park?
Because it's the only sport that is exclusively for women. And they had a park. The field was always very nice, but they had not much in the way of seats or no press box. So we thought we were giving all our money away. We'd give some of it to them.
You know, Pat, when you look at what we've got here, and what we've got here is about 25 seconds left in the first quarter. Case is up 7-0, so this will probably be the final play of the quarter. We'll take a break after this play, Pat, but I've got a couple of more questions that I'd like to ask you when we come back. Can you stick with us in the broadcast booth? That is an affirmative. Dan Whalen runs out of bounds just past the 20. We've got 10 ticks left. Ed, what's happened here? Or actually, Pat's got Ed's headset. So defensively, Washington University has made some adjustments, and Case has not been able to move the football like they did on that first offensive possession. They're going to start the clock. The 10 seconds will tick off. We'll take a quarter break here as Whalen comes out to punt. He will not punt here at the end of the first quarter. We'll start the second quarter with a Dan Whalen punt. And we're going to take a break. Coach Debelak and that Case Spartans football sideline looks to a 7-0 lead after 1 quarter here at Case Field. As we take a wide shot here of Case Field, you can see the dormitories in the background, the Village at 115, and this football stadium, Pat, is in its 5th season. You've already talked about the Mather Field for the softball program. What importance or what role does the facilities at a place like Case play?
It's tremendously important because all of our competitor schools have good facilities, and students coming to Case Western Reserve always look at the athletic facilities. We are really very blessed to have such good ones, and this field is fantastic. If you knew what they were in 1949, then you'd know that you're in a good place.
Well, Pat, you were probably here when Paul Brown used to bring the Browns out to Finnegan Field, correct?
Right.
Yeah, so did you give him any tips over the years?
No, but I'm sure Eddie Finnegan did.
Pat, we'd like to thank you for joining us.
Good.
It was a pleasure to have you in our broadcast booth, and thanks for your time, your commitment, and your dedication to Case over the seasons. Pat Kilpatrick, thank you very much. Good to see you. Washington University with the football. They are at their own 40-yard line. We are just underway here in the second quarter at Case Field. The Spartans with a first quarter touchdown on the opening drive by Greg Meyer to make it 7-0, Ed, and that's where we stand at this moment in time. The story so far has been the defense for Washington University. They've picked off Dan Whalen twice so far.
Now, one, they jumped a pattern. Two was a deflected pass that the defender got his feet in bounds and then forced a 3-and-out. And I think some of that has to do with the different looks that the WashU defense is giving Case. They're not in a traditional 4-3 front that they had been playing most of the season. They're showing maybe a 3-2 and then 6 defensive backs. Then they come back in a 4-3 set. It's a lot of mix-up on the defense for WashU.
Sherman in the shotgun. The handoff will go to the back in the backfield. He'll cross midfield, breaks into the open at the 30, got a sideline shot and run out of bounds.
That play that was designed for Matt Glenn to just be a quick hitter right at the line of scrimmage. He got a nice kick-out block to seal the corner, and then he just cut to the outside. Showed surprising speed for the senior Glenn, and all the way down the sideline. Glenn 5'11", 205 pounds, and really outraced the Case defense for the better part of 20 yards, 25 yards. Got the ball into the red zone for Washington University.
And suddenly the Bears have the direct attention of the Spartans. They are inside the Case 20, and now at the 15. O'Brien with the handoff. There was a momentary hole at the middle, and it was closed and collapsed quickly by that Case defense.
There's
Richard Doolin, Jake May, and Dale English, the 3 down linemen.
A late flag came in from one of the deep officials, and the flag is at the 10-yard line. That might be a hold.
It is a block below the knees, a cut block by someone on that Washington University team, so that will back them up.
That's a major penalty, and that's going to push WashU back. I believe it's a 15-yard penalty.
Well, when the official tucks the ball under his, like a bread loaf, and starts running with it, you know it's a major penalty. He backs up 15 yards all the way back to the 30-yard line. So unfortunately for the Bears of Washington University, they had a 1st and 10 at the 15. Now it's 1st and 30, or 1st and 10 at the, it can't be 1st and 10 at the 30. It's got to be
1st and 25.
1st and 25 at the 30. So Sherman will roll. He'll look right. He's going to throw deep to the end zone. Pass over the middle, and boy, that was a horrible pass. And Derek Sharp almost picked it off for Case.
That ball was a good 7 or 8 yards underthrown, and Sharp had it in his hands, just couldn't bring it in. Would have intercepted the ball down about the 5-yard line.
Sharp's had a good day. Derek Sharp, the sophomore out of Lakota West High School. He's been on a couple of pass deflections so far this afternoon. Sharp will play the corner along with Bobby Bott, the senior.
We talked about WashU giving some different looks defensively. Case is doing the same thing. They had gone to a 4-2 look. Now they're into a 3-3 look.
Sherman fakes the handoff, throws out into the right flat for short yardage for Washington University. Easton Knott, the wideout, the sophomore out of Chesterfield, Missouri, comes up with the pass completion. They're going to pick up about 5. It'll be a 3rd down and 20 situation.
One of those inside-out bubble screens designed for Knott, but the Case defense with great pursuit to the outside and forced Knott to come back into the middle of the field into the wash, and Case was able to smother him after a short gain.
The Bears going into the closed end of this stadium, or the end that goes right into the dormitories, the southern end here at Case Field. Little screen set up on 3rd and 20. Tackle broke, and a beautiful completion and run by Tim Gallos, the wideout, coming across the middle, setting up in that screen. They needed 20, and I think they got it.
They got 21. That missed tackle cost Case an opportunity to force Washington University into a 4th down set. Gallos just catches this center screen to the wide receiver and avoids the tackle, and then just takes off straight up the field. He knows where he has to get to, and that was his main objective, was to get that 1st down, keep the drive alive. And he picked up 21 before the Case defenders could corral him.
So the Bears break the huddle. It's 1st and goal at the 4. Sherman will remain in the shotgun, where he has been most of the afternoon so far. And we have a timeout on the field, timeout on Washington University. So the Bears are going to rethink their first offensive play here on 1st and goal from the 4. Now, if the Bears score a touchdown here and tie this game at 7, it will be the first time in a long time that Case has actually been involved in a tight game. You looked at their schedule this year. The closest game that they've had this year is a couple of weeks ago in Chicago at the University of Chicago. They won by 2 touchdowns, 38-24.
That was a game that was tied 24 late in the third quarter, and Case broke it open. And prior to that, the only other competitive football game they had was against Worcester, and that was a game that was 32-31. And then Case again, fourth quarter, wore down their opponents and exploded for 22 points and extended the victory. So Case has done a nice job, and other than those 2 games, Case has not been in a competitive football game much of this season.
Well, you look at that Case sideline, and there's the head football coach for Washington University, Larry Kinbaum, and he's a veteran guy. He's been around for 27 years. He's been the head football coach at Wash U for 22. He's won 130 games there. I mean, they didn't come here to just say, hey, Case, congratulations, here's another 10-0 season. Here's the play.
That's Matt Glenn looking to go up the middle, and he bounced it to the outside, but you got to give Case credit. They're back into that 4-2 set, and the 4 down linemen, including Adam Watson and Rich Doolin, Dale English, and Jake May with the nice stop. And to keep WashU out of the end zone. But to finish your thought on Kinbaum, he's ranked in the top 10 in current coaches at the Division III level in terms of overall wins, and has really developed a team that in the mid-'80s, WashU was really down as a football team, and now they've been on the brink of some stardom.
Sherman will hand it off again to Glenn. Glenn will try the left side, and again, that defensive front for Case has done a job.
Defensive line held up the offensive line where they couldn't get outside, and here comes Jeff Brown over, the senior linebacker, and Brown there along with a couple of defensive backs.
Lisa Sala came over from his linebacker spot, helped make that stop. So it's a 3rd and goal situation now at the 2-yard line. Case, as you can see, up 7-0. That score came early. Opening drive of this football game. They marched it down 80-plus yards, and Greg Meyer went in for a 7-yard touchdown run. Washington University trying to tie it. Sherman will pitch it to O'Brien. O'Brien looking for space. Found a crease, but it closed quickly, and Case is held.
So decision time now for the Washington University coaching staff after this 3rd down play. Doesn't get the ball into the end zone, just the sweep to the right. O'Brien looking for something. Bott pushed him back to the middle, and there comes the pursuit, the backside pursuit from the line and the linebackers. And WashU looks like they're going to go for it, Ron.
Well, O'Brien was heading off the field, but Sherman, the quarterback, has stayed on the field. And why not? You're on the road. You're facing a team that is undefeated. You've got a chance to make a statement. Why not go for it? And they're going to take a timeout and think about it a little bit more.
Well, at 4-5, WashU has a lot to play for. They have an opportunity to win a co-championship in the UAA, should they win today, and prevent a losing season for the first time in 17 years. So there's a little bit on the line for the Bears today.
That's Kinbaum talking to his senior wideout, Matt Mangini. A week ago, Washington University was at home. They faced the University of Chicago, beat them 44-37. The week before that, they lost in Pittsburgh to Carnegie Mellon 21-13.
Well, and that was a game that they led 13-0, and they let the Tartans come back and score 21 unanswered second-half points. So WashU really could be 2-0 coming into this football game. They've played well enough to be undefeated and playing for a league championship today.
You got to look there at that Case defense. Derek Sharp and Brad Paramore, 2 of the leaders so far this afternoon. Jeff Brown, that middle inside linebacker. Number 36, we'll call his name a lot. So here we go. It's 4th and goal from the 2. Washington University will try to score the touchdown. Fake handoff, pass over the middle, and it falls incomplete. So the Spartans have held.
That was a drive that started in WashU territory, but the big run by Glenn put the ball down by the 15, and You got to give Case credit. They fought back from not only that big run by Glenn, but then the big third down play by Gaius. And then the defense held there. 4 shots for WashU inside the 5-yard line, and the Case defense kept them out of the end zone.
Well, another thing I think that Kinbaum, the head football coach at WashU, was probably thinking on that decision is even if we don't make it, Case gets the football 1st and 10 at their own 2. And defensively, in the last 3 possessions, WashU has 2 interceptions and 1 3-and-out. So he's probably thinking, even if we don't make it, we hold them again, get good field position, and get another shot at it. Case will run it out of the shadows of their own end zone, and it's a nice, strong run outside that 2.
That's Corey CHECKAN with the ball, and that's his forte, Ron, is Corey CHECKAN is the between-the-tackles runner for Case Western. You see him there, 5'8", 200 pounds. What you like about CHECKAN is when he runs, he gets his shoulder pads over his knees. He has a low center of gravity. He's hard to get down because you can't get a clean hit on him. And in fact, in his career at Case, he only has 7 carries that have gone for negative yards.
CHECKAN will be the lead block this time for Greg Meyer out of the backfield. And, you know, if we can get another shot of number 31, Corey CHECKAN, you mentioned in his career. In his career, he's got 34. There's Corey right there. 34 career touchdowns. He's a senior, one of the 15 seniors being honored today, so doesn't carry it a lot. But, Ed, when he does, he's a money guy.
Well, Corey, I mean, he knows his role. It's between the tackles. It's 2nd and 2. It's 3rd and 1. It's inside the 5. That's CHECKAN's forte, and he has really embraced that role with this Case Spartan team.
So it is a 2nd and 9 situation for the Spartans. Bad snap. Whalen's going to take it, and he's going to run right out of the back end of the end zone there. It will be a safety for WashU. Whalen had to make a snap decision, and he decides to take a safety. Washington University will get 2 points on the board.
Well, Whalen did a smart thing there. He corralled the football. Then rather than take a hit, once the ball went past him on a bad snap, it was just off to his right. And he picked it up, and he knew he wasn't going to try to do anything with it, and just got rid of it out of the back of the end zone. Now Case will kick it away from their own 20. They gave up the 2 points there, but smart move by Whalen in not trying to do too much and staying within himself to really prevent a disaster. If Whalen tries to pick that up and run, maybe he fumbles around with it, and WashU can fall on it for 6.
Well, if you're Case, you've got to start, I would think, as the offense huddles just below us here on the Case sideline, I would think you've got to start thinking, what's happened to our offense? Because the last 4 possessions, back-to-back interceptions, a 3-and-out, and then this safety. It has certainly not been the regular Case offense that we have grown accustomed to, not only this year, but for the last 3 football seasons here at Case Field.
And it started almost better than anybody could have expected for Case. They went right down the field in their opening possession. It was a 9-play drive, almost 80 yards, got on the board, forced a 3-and-out from WashU, and then since then it's just been downhill and a complete slide.
Coffey will kick it off for Case. Washington University will get the football back, down 5 at 7-2. The ball is returned outside the 30-yard line, and the Bears will start 1st and 10 at their own 33. Once again, tomorrow on Sunday at 3 o'clock on ESPN News, the Division III championship brackets will be announced. And Case hopeful to get a win here today, finish the season 10-0, and hopeful to host a first-round playoff game. It would mark their 3rd consecutive season in the Division III national playoffs. But they've got some work to do before we start talking about that. 8:41 left to play, opening half here at Case Field. Sherman again in the shotgun. He'll hand it off to O'Brien, and O'Brien's got all sorts of trouble, and he's going to lose 3 yards.
Yeah, Case defensive front, again, just getting past that offensive line of WashU. The line for WashU is by far the biggest that Case has seen, but the defensive front has just been quick. They've shot the gaps and really given O'Brien no place to run. You see it there. He can't decide left, right, everywhere he looks. He's surrounded by blue shirts. And took a 3-yard loss on that play. The offensive line for WashU averages 6'2", 290 pounds.
Washington University needs 13. They'll hand it to O'Brien to try to get some of that back, and he does. Crosses the 35 to about the 36.
Well, now a third down situation for WashU. They're just 1 of 5 in the football game run. Now that one was a 3rd and 20 on their last possession, and they picked up 21 on a little center screen to Gaios. A wide receiver coming in out of the slot.
Gaios will be at the bottom of your screen, just ran out of your viewing area on the bottom of this television screen, and Sherman's going to look Gaios' way. Pressured back to the right. He's got trouble, and he's tackled and sacked for a 1-yard loss at the 34-yard line.
That's Rich Doolin with the pursuit, and that Case defensive front never really gave up on the play. They rolled to their right or to Sherman's left, and it came all the way back with him as he circled back looking for a receiver. And Case has really rotated in that defensive line front as well. They're now using a 5-man rotation. Michael Harris was also in on that tackle. Harris is the 5th defensive lineman the Case has used today.
Austin Mormon will stand at the 18-yard line for Washington University. He will punt it for the Bears. And Mormon gets off a low-line drive that hits at the 30. Fielded at the 22 by Nicely and immediately tackled there. Sean Nicely, the punt returner on the season, averaging 4 yards per punt return. His long on the season is just 12.
Nicely, and Dan Calabrese is another one that will return kicks for Case. I see Calabrese in there occasionally. And here comes the offense. Let's see what they talked about on the sideline, Ron. They come back in their traditional spread offense. But statistically, Case has really struggled.
So Dan Whalen and the Spartans will try to get untracked here. Whalen with a quick pass out near that Case sideline, and Zach Homick catches it and gets a couple of yards after the catch. Homick, a junior out of St. Ignatius Prep High School in Chicago. St. Ignatius here in Cleveland's got a big night tonight at Lakewood Stadium. The Wildcats, undefeated on the season, 11-0, taking on the Tarblooders of Glenville, who stand at 10-1. Their only loss was in Week 1 at Byers Field in Parma to St. Ignatius, a 1-point loss right at the very tail end of the game. So outstanding football here on the college level in the afternoon here in Greater Cleveland, and great high school football tonight as well.
That game also on Sports Time Ohio.
Corey CHECKAN with a nice run for the Spartans. They'll move the chains.
And then we talked about CHECKAN, and especially that was 2nd down and 2, and ball goes to Whalen, and CHECKAN just off the A or B gap found himself a 1st down.
Whalen will throw it. He's got Nicely, and there's a flag back at the line of scrimmage in the middle of the field, which usually constitutes holding. We'll wait and see what the call is.
It's either a hold or a block in the back that could have come from one of the receivers coming down the line.
So the penalty will go against Case. That'll negate the nice pickup by Nicely and Whalen. Joining us here in a few moments on our broadcast will be Tiffany Crooks, the women's head soccer coach at Case. And her Spartan soccer team had an outstanding season.
It's amazing you start talking about some of the athletic programs and what they've done here at Case, including the women's soccer team. The cross-country team also had a very successful season.
So they'll back Case up 10 all the way back to the 20-yard line. It'll be 1st down, but it's 1st down at about 25 now. Whalen sets the offense. It's a 4 wide receiver set. Case with lots of work to do here midway through the 2nd quarter. Whalen's going to throw it deep. Got a guy open at the 40, and it's a pass complete to Zach Homick.
Now there's the Dan Whalen that we've become accustomed to. Whalen just a couple of steps back in the pocket, very confident, sets up, off his back foot, 1 step, and fires a strike downfield perfect to Homick in stride. And Homick will bring the ball inside the 40-yard line. Nice catch by Homick. Better pass by Dan Whalen.
So on 1st and 25, Case gets 42 yards, and they're all the way down to the Washington University 38-yard line. Whalen again. Whalen over the middle. Complete to Tim Cowdrick. And Cowdrick's going to pick up about half of the 10 that he needed. He gets 5. Tiffany Crooks is down on the sideline, the head women's soccer coach at Case. And Tiffany, can you hear us? There's Tiffany. Tiffany, can you hear us?
Yeah.
Great. Tiffany is in her 3rd year as the Spartans women's head soccer coach. And Tiffany, you're on the sideline near that Case bench as the Spartans are
can you hear that?
Marching down the field. WHALEN, the quarterback. He's going to throw it to Homick again. Homick breaks a tackle at midfield, gets down to the 20, and the Spartans continue to move the football. Tiffany, what do you think of your football team?
Absolutely.
And Tiffany's mic is going in and out. We're having issues with her wireless microphone right now, so we'll stay with the football game. Tiffany, we'll try you again. Can you hear us?
Can.
Okay, good. Tiffany, your soccer team played yesterday, correct?
No, actually, we wrapped up last.
I can't hear her. We're breaking in and out with Tiffany. We'll try to figure that out as we're about 4 minutes left to play here in the first half, and we'll go back to football. WHALEN again, another pass out in the right flat, nicely brings it in, and he's run out of bounds at the 12-yard line. So Case with an answer here so far.
A little bit of adjustments offensively. They've gone back to that more comfortable setting.
Now we heard Tiffany there. We'll go back to Tiffany.
Okay.
Tiffany Crooks, the head women's soccer coach at Case. Tiffany, tell us about your season.
We had a great season. I think we had a lot of great seniors, just a lot of achievement, big steps forward for us. 4th in the conference and the best women's soccer country state for us.
And Greg Meyer goes in for his 2nd touchdown of the afternoon. Meyer from 12 yards out on the handoff from WHALEN. And the Spartans have scored again when they have needed it most.
Well, nothing fancy. They went with the power formation. 2 tight end set off the wing. Meyer found a crease and cruised into the end zone for the touchdown.
Tiffany, you mentioned that your team had a successful season, a winning season. It has been 6 years since the Case women's soccer team has been able to say that. So you like where the program is headed, the direction you've got it in?
Yeah, we're incredibly excited. We've got a great group of girls, and I think, sure.
Coffey adds the point after touchdown, and with just over 3 minutes to play here in the first half, Case is now up 14-2. Tiffany, we would be remiss without mentioning that you turned 30. Was it yesterday? Happy birthday.
Yeah, thank you. Just this week.
Now, you look like you're maybe turning 16 and just getting your driver's license.
That's what I hear quite often.
Tiffany, your University Athletic Association, your coaching staff, you guys as a staff were named Coaches of the Year, correct?
Yeah, very, very big honor for us, big time.
How important is it to have a solid staff?
Incredibly important. I think I really realized this year how important assistants are, and the support I got from them as a head coach. You really can't do that, accomplish those things without good assistants.
Now, with those assistants, you guys put up quite an impressive statistics. You mentioned you finished 4th in the conference, but you guys had 10 shutouts, and your goals against average was less than 1 per game. You guys did a nice job really getting these girls to focus maybe on the defense first and then offense.
Yeah, very much so. My background's as a goalkeeper, so those stats are incredibly impressive to me. Incredibly important, and we play against country. So it's really remarkable what the girls were able to achieve.
Tiffany Crooks, the head women's soccer coach at Case. Tiffany, we're going to thank you for joining us on the sideline here near the home side here at Case on Senior Day. Any parting words you'd like to send out to the football team?
Just so excited for them. We want to be just like them someday.
Okay. Tiffany Crooks, thank you very much and a happy birthday.
Thank you.
All right, Ed, so 3 minutes and 6 seconds left to play in this opening half. Case with a near 2-touchdown lead. You can't say it's been easy, but it hasn't been a struggle either.
No, and they came back after having some offensive sets, were a little unsettled. They came back, put together a nice 8-play, 78-yard drive, went right down the field, and added that touchdown. And now have that comfortable 12-point lead.
Washington University trying to get something going here in the waning minutes of this opening half. They scored on a safety, on a snap that was mishandled by WHALEN, and that he ran out of the back end of the end zone, the southern end zone here at Case Field.
Well, and statistically, offensively, WashU hasn't done a whole lot today, Ron. We mentioned they're 1 of 6 on third down conversions. The Case defense has now held WashU to just right around 90 yards in offense, where the Case offense has put up over 200. So even though WashU maybe feels like they're in the football game, statistically, Case is really dominated.
Sherman's going to throw it. He's got to get away from a Case linebacker, Jeff Brown, first. He does. And he gets all the way up across the 30-yard line and spins out of a tackle and falls at the 34-yard line. Jeff Sherman, the middle linebacker for Case, Jeff Brown, rather, got in and gave Steve Sherman all sorts of fits. And Sherman, the WashU quarterback, very much like WHALEN, showed his athletic ability to get out and gain positive yards.
Yeah, spun to his left or right, rolled all the way back, came back to the left side, and even avoided the tackle as Sharp went to hit him below the waist. Managed not to take a direct hit.
So as you can see, we're approaching 2 minutes now left to play in this opening half. And if Washington University is going to get the football down and score as we close this half, they will have to start going to the air. They've got 1 timeout left, and we are now inside 2 minutes left to play in this opening half. Bears at the 37-yard line. One back in the backfield, it's O'Brien. Sherman will throw it. Quick hitter across the middle to the left side, it's complete. And Washington University's Austin Moorman is near midfield.
Yeah, Moorman's the big wide receiver for WashU in terms of stature. He's 6'3". He's much taller than the other wide receivers, but for Moorman, only 12 catches now on the season.
Case defensively has 14 interceptions on the season. Sherman's going to throw it deep. Ball's over the middle. Bobby Bott almost came up with interception number 15.
That's Zach House also coming on the underneath coverage. Bott had behind coverage on Easton Knott, and Bott did a nice job of staying with him.
Boy, if we get a chance to get a shot of Bott, number 20 for Case, that pick would have been only his second of the season, the 15th for Case as a team. But Bott a year ago had a career year, a year to remember. He was an All-America.
Well, and I think teams realized that Bobby Bott was out there, and this season he's fought through a couple of injuries, Ron, but teams have really gone away from him. They haven't picked on Bobby Bott. He's become that shutdown corner and made it a 10-on-10 game.
Little bubble screen. This one is snuffed out. Tom Gallos got it. Last time they ran that little screen across the middle to Gallos, he went almost all the way to the house.
Yeah, 20-yard pickup on a third down play. Back to Bott. When you can do that and have one player match up one-on-one and basically say, you know what, it's 10-on-10 instead of 11-on-11, positive things happen.
Sherman with pressure, and he'll get tackled just inside the 50. Case did a nice job that time defensively of defending the pass and allowing the front of Dale English and May and Doolin to get in there and get at that quarterback. He certainly had time, but because the coverage was so good, there's Bott right there as he walks off the field as Case held on 3rd and long. It's 4th and 6. Bott, the senior out of Grafton, out of Midview High School. 7 interceptions a year ago, Bobby Bott had. One of the seniors honored today. He was first-team All-American, and that doesn't happen very often.
No, and again, it's because of not only his coverage in the secondary, but Ron, Bobby Bott's not afraid to come up and really play the run. He supports that corner very well and will force plays back to the middle. So maybe not total tackles, but the ability to stop and force an offensive running back to cut back to the middle, and then here comes the linebacker, here come the defensive lineman. And so Bott knows what he's supposed to do out there, plays with a very good head on his shoulders, and has some athleticism to stay with some of the big receivers, not only in the conference, but in North Coast Athletic Conference, a Case plays with early in the season.
Bott was a Sporting News preseason All-American pick heading into this 2009 season. Ed mentioned he's battled some injuries this year. He's had a neck injury that kept him out 3 games in the middle of the season. Sherman and WashU will go for it on a 4th and 6. They get a completion over the middle, but it will fall short of the first down.
That's a nice one-handed catch out there by WashU, but not enough. Case did a nice job of protecting that first down marker.
So Case is going to get the football here, Ed, at near midfield with 36 seconds left. And with the strong arm of Dan Whalen and the ability of his receivers to break into the open, the Spartans have a real shot at a score here in the final 36 seconds.
Well, Case got the ball back with about 50 seconds to play against Oberlin here earlier in the season at their own 8-yard line, and Whalen took them all the way down for a touchdown on the final play of the half. So scoring in the final minute is not a problem that Case has.
So Whalen will set up in the shotgun back near his 41-yard line. You see a 4 wide receiver set there on your screen, and Whalen will look down the middle. He's going to throw out near that Case sideline. Nicely's got it. Nice spin at midfield. And he's trying to get out of bounds, but he'll be tackled at the 42-yard line. It's a first down, which will stop the clock as they move the chains. 25 seconds, as you see there on our Sports Time Ohio graphic. 25 seconds left to play opening half.
Boy, did WashU really drop back in coverage there, Ron. They only rushed 2 players, dropped 9 into coverage. They had 3 underneath and 6 defensive backs. And Case was still able to find an open receiver and pick up 12 yards.
There's Coach Debelak in the middle of that huddle. He took a timeout. He had 3. He's got 2 left now with 25 seconds left. So Debs gets his troops around him in his 6th season here at Case. 6th season as head coach here at Case. He was 3 years offensive coordinator before that. And he has turned this program around, that is for sure. There is plenty to cheer about here at Case Field. So the Spartans are ready. They're out near on the line of scrimmage. Washington University still huddled up during their timeout, or during Case's timeout. 25 seconds left to play. Opening half. Of course, the storyline today, Case trying to, for the 3rd straight football season, go 10-0 during the regular season. They're 9-0, 1 more win, and they will have won 31 consecutive games. They won their final game of the 2006 season and have run the table ever since. Whalen, the quarterback, looking right, stepping up with pressure. Now he's just going to throw this one out of bounds and stop the clock at 19 seconds.
And Whalen had a plan. He was looking downfield initially and had to step out of the pocket. And Homick went deep, and back came Cowdrick on the sideline. And Whalen just ran out of time, ran out of room, and threw the football away. Case now has 19 seconds, probably has 3 plays to work with. At the very least, you'd like to see them get down to about the 20-yard line, Ron, pick up 20, 25 yards, give Coffee a chance to attempt a field goal before the half ends.
Well, Coffey's long on the season, Ed, is 37 yards. So if they got to the 20, that would be exactly where his range is at. He is 3 of 7. He has missed 4 field goals in the 30 to 39-yard range, so the closer they can get, the better. Whalen flushed, throws, complete at the 30-yard line. Zach Homick brings it in at the 30, and that's a first down. It'll stop the clock at 11 seconds. Case with 2 timeouts left, and they're going to take one right now.
Now, Homick now has 4 catches on the game. He's up to 57 on the season run. He's also approaching some records. Homick looking to pass the record for most receptions in a season. That's 70 by Dave Kalavig back in 2002. Also, the yards receiving in a season is just over 1,000 yards, and Homick came in with 815. So opportunity not only for Whalen to break some records, but his wide receivers to get in on the mark as well.
Well, he's got 74 yards receiving today, Zach Homick does, on 4 catches. So his catch total is approaching 60. And as you just pointed out, he's not far from 1,000 yard-wise.
And
so the Whalen and the Spartans come out of their timeout. We'll set it for you. They're at their own 30, or the 30 of WashU, with 11 seconds left to play opening half. As you can see, Case holds the 14-2 lead. Those 2 touchdowns by the same player, Greg Meyer. A 7-yard run and a 12-yard run.
What I'd like to see here is maybe just a sprint rollout of a bootleg and have Whalen get to the outside and maybe hit a nice little 8 or 10-yard out pattern.
Colasar and Homick are the wideout split left and right. Whalen with trouble. He's going to run out of it. He's going to throw it left-handed. And they're going to say that is a fumble, not a pass attempt. And Washington University will recover it and keep it at the 32-yard line. Now, Dave, if we see the replay, obviously was running to his left, carrying the football in his right hand, switched over to his left, and tried to throw it with his left hand. Here you'll see he'll get flushed out of the pocket. Whalen carrying it with his right. Did you see the switch? I think he threw the ball. He switched it to his left and threw it with his left. I think that's an incomplete pass.
I think it's an incomplete pass as well, and that's going to be the end of the half. They're not going to let Case keep the football or attempt another play.
So Case goes into the locker room at halftime up 14-2.